Andrea Gigline with us. We're going to be talking about delivering happiness today. Of course, her mantra is positive psychology. Welcome. Thanks for talking to us. You just had a fabulous event in the family. Your daughter got married.
Did. Our only daughter got married on September 18th in the Catskills, and she and her husband Kevin created the most magnificent event for their family and friends. It was really, really.
And you are glowing.
Oh, well.
By the way.
And I want you to know there is a Prescott connection. Deanna Brown, who was the wedding coordinator for the Quality Inn and Suites when we had it, she came and orchestrated the most magnificent event for us.
Now, why the Catskills? I know your family is
they are both
Eastern
yoga instructors, and this was a location where they have actually held retreats and been to retreats, and it was quite special for the two of them.
Lovely couple.
Very good. Yes, good-looking couple.
Yes. Delivering happiness.
Delivering happiness.
You deliver happiness every time you're here with us.
What a gig, huh?
You know,
what a gig line.
What a gig line. Look at that. Yes, and it is. Yes, that it is. You know, Marianne Williamson has a very famous line where, you know, your shrinking does not serve the world, and that the more you allow yourself to show up, the more positive things show up for all the people around you. And that is one of the things that I wanted to bring up before we talk about this really fabulous book, Delivering Happiness, which is the story of Zappos. Your last segment on breast cancer and the person that you were interviewing,
Lisa.
Yes, Lisa. One of the things that we found in positive psychology is that people always say, you know, oh, you know, this event made me stronger, this event made me stronger, and the research has come out very firmly that it's not the event, it's not the diagnosis and that makes you stronger, it's the amount of reflection and contemplation that you go through after a traumatic event that allows you to evolve and to see what works and what doesn't. And she is a living example of being really in the midst of it and sharing the story as she goes.
And Andrea, don't you, I mean, many people that I've talked to, they appreciate life so much more, and they really turn into more of a positive force in life.
And it's because they redefine what is the meaning and what actually is important to me. You begin to, it's the difference from eating a whole bag of something to having one special something hand prepared and it tastes so dramatically different. And that's all, you're still eating, you're still moseying along there, but your ability, and I believe that it was Judge Yasso that we had on with the journaling. That was one of the things that he said, you know, oh, he savors at a moment.
So your taste buds on life are much keener.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
And you know, for fear of using an old cliche, it's a new lease on life. People come out and they say, I have a new lease on life.
Yes, and what we know is that savoring and your ability to savor the moment, it's actually one of the cornerstone exercises in positive psychology, where we actually have to try and teach you, you know, sculpt out an hour and just pay attention to what's going on kind of thing. And this is actually a very easy lead-in for me to Delivering Happiness and the story that Tony Hsieh, the founder, well, he wasn't actually the founder, he was the money that kept it alive long enough for it to become Zappos, a billion-plus company, which primarily started as a shoe distribution company.
And the key was, while he was doing that, delivering happiness.
And he wrote this book. This book took place after, or in the process of the sale, and it was because he wanted to step back and see what actually put me on this path. Well, sometimes it's cancer that makes you ask those questions. He has been very fortunate to be a young man, and he is young. I believe he's still south of 38 years old, where he, from a very young child, had a love for business, but it really wasn't for business, but for making money. And, you know, he was 8, 9 years old and kind of come up with different schemes to go on. And then what really happened at the end, when he had done 2 phenomenally successful businesses, when you look at the balance sheet, huge financial hits, he starts this book by saying, I wanted to figure out what got me on this path. And so there is a good way to go through the process of savoring and figuring out where, and then sometimes you're given other ways.
You know what, and Andrea, we all have moments where we say we never want this moment to end.
Absolutely.
We never want this moment to end. How do we capture those and turn those into discovering or delivering
you just said one of the most beautiful keys, and it's the moment. If moment by moment, we can in fact be present to what is happening and be totally aware, that shifts the perspective so incredibly. I've been doing a lot of writing on that very subject. It is that moment-by-moment awareness. It is fine-tuning. It's actually seeing the flower as you walk by the path. We've talked about these things in different ways and in different forms, but it's actually doing it. I had a client this week tell me that she noticed 2 days in a row the same person was stopped at the same light on her way to work. And we laughed because one of the things that she's been working on is becoming more aware so that she can increase her business success and her life success. The fact that she actually noticed, that person could have been next to her every 3 days for the last 2 years and she hadn't noticed.
Of notice.
Yes.
And what about giving? Tanya and I were talking about that before the show. How does giving play into delivering happiness in our lives, giving to other people?
Let me take you right back to one of the keys of what this young man was able to do. And he was able to do it because, yes, he wanted to create a business. Yes, he wanted to make money. Those were the little things that didn't matter.
That was the driving force.
Right. But what he did at this particular company, Zappos, is allow the people that work for him to serve the customer in a way that you are not, unlike other order houses where you'll call in, they're being timed, their efficiency is being timed, and you're going to get off that phone with your customer as quickly as possible. You know what? If you've got a day and you want to chat with a Zappos, I don't want you to do this to any of their people. But the truth is, he and his team train these people. What's important is our customers. So service can look like donating to your community. When you're in business, service looks like, how do I serve my customer? Because one of my icons of learning in this field is Peter Drucker. And while he was alive, he said, you do not have a business unless you have customers. And Tony got that. Tony's team got that. And when they took a very mundane, I mean, you know, call-in centers are not order-taking call-in centers. We have them all over our country. It is a part of the last, I mean, Sears Roebuck. I mean, it is a part of where we have grown up. But generally, those aren't the jobs that you strive to get.
Acquire, yes.
I challenge anyone to walk into Zappos headquarters, which is in Las Vegas, and observe. These people have taken this job.
Like their job.
They do, and it's because they can serve.
And you know, you were talking about that. You don't have a business unless you have customers, and you don't have customers unless you treat them right. A good example right here in our area has to be Costco.
Yes.
Because I am so anti-big store, box stores. But when you walk in Costco, it is a feeling like no other. They love what they're doing. They love that job. They treat their people so well. And jumping back to another point you made though on that is, why as human beings do we either live in the future or the past? We never hit that present, well, as a rule.
That's a big why, and so I'm not going to, I mean, I could go on for a few years.
Give me an abbreviated answer.
An abbreviated form. We sped things up. Technology, the way we live, each advancement means,
generation goes on.
Yes, goes that much faster. And that is what takes us away from, you know, the reason a person coming first to Arizona on their horse could appreciate the beauty of what is all around us here is because they had to find food to eat. They had to take the twig and make the fire. They were very there. It wasn't, make it, who cared about making it to next week? They had to make it through the night.
Find food and make it to the night. They weren't thinking next week. They weren't thinking next year. They weren't thinking tomorrow. Correct.
So what you're bringing out, and that's one of the things Zappos has done and what Tony has done in building that company, he's allowed the employee in the workplace, and that's why I'm so thrilled with this book. It's the first example of positive psychology in the workplace in such a large scale and with such a large dollar success.
Stay right there, Andrea. When we come back, we're going to talk more to Andrea Giglang and talking about delivering happiness.